Okay, so we always want to check in with just what our environment is doing, including anything in the sound environment, but also anything in our body environment, our temperature, our chair, our cushion, and our internal body environment, what is going on inside our body. And that means physically, but also maybe emotionally. And for most of us, the experience of mind feels like is inside the body as well. And it can be useful to think of it that way. Most of us feel there's a sense in which we're living inside our mind, but when we start to just observe it, we can make the mind be inside our experience. And so one thing we do when we sit down is we start this process of letting go. But what are we letting go of? There's a lot of work to be done in letting go of emotional baggage, of letting go of history, of letting go of attachments and desires. And those are all useful ways of thinking about it. But what we're really letting go of is this environment. We're saying, I am not identical to my experience, to my environment. So I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things, I'm feeling things, but both inside and out, I'm feeling things, emotional things in my body. I'm hearing and saying things in my mind. I'm watching movies. And so what we do when we sit to meditate is step back and out of this environment in a way. No, it's not really geographical like I described it, although at first it might feel like that. But we notice I might be having a little anxiety in my belly, but that is inside my awareness. That's inside my experience. That anxiety in my belly is smaller than my body. It's smaller than my room. It's smaller than my awareness. I might be having an itch or a pain in my back, and that pain is smaller than my body. It's smaller than my room. It's smaller than the world, and it's smaller than my awareness and my experience. I might be having repetitive thoughts or loud thoughts or negative thoughts on a loop in my mind, or just bursting in intrusively or running along quietly, judgmentally, or any of a number of other ways the mind might operate. But instead of being inside that mind, we notice that that sound of my mind is located inside my body, probably. It's not as big as my body. It's not as big as the room. It's not as big as the world. It's not as big as my awareness. And the same thing with any daydreams or fantasies or memories that are playing through our mind. And so instead of living inside our mind, our mind is inside of us. Our pain is inside of us. Our fear is inside of us. Inside, not inside of us like deep inside. It's inside of us in that it's smaller than we are. It's inside the space of our awareness. We are not inside of it. And so even though the whole body might be afraid, we are not afraid. Even though the whole mind might be afraid, we are not afraid. And it becomes much easier to just have affection and compassion and love for all these parts of our experience in our world when we no longer need to worry about them overtaking us. That is, we're no longer deep inside of them, trapped. So this is a process because we are so used to living inside of our mind. We have to start getting a glimpse of what does it feel like to sit down, and it's like we're putting the mind down. Doesn't mean we're shutting it up. It doesn't even mean we're quieting it at all. We're just no longer holding it. And so we can keep checking in what is my entry point going to go and getting sucked back in to my mental model. And you don't have to have stepped all the way out to be able to feel the difference between being deeper in and deeper, more trapped, or getting more towards the spaciousness of awareness. And you'll notice things like, oh, I've got to do something, or I've got to judge something. Something's really bad, or something's really good. Something's not the way it's supposed to be. I have to figure something out. I don't understand something. I need to figure that out. These are all ways that they sort of, once we believe that one thought, that's not good, or I have to do, or anything, or I am doing even, or I know even. Any of these are thoughts. One thought that sort of is the thought that brings us back, like in through the tunnel, deep inside the identification with our experience. I've been saying, you'll hear it being identified with the mind, and I've been saying it that way. And I'm also saying being identified with your experience, and you can hear it that way too. Yeah. It's important to realize that we identify with more than just our explicit thoughts. We obviously can identify with the fear in our body or in a love in the body or any emotion in the body. But we can get identified with objects outside the world, obviously other people. Or if I took your prize snow globe and smashed it on the floor, there's a sense of identity with that object. And so then there's a patterning of experience that relates all the different parts of experience. Your snow globe gets smashed, and so you have an emotion. And the emotion causes thoughts and feelings in the body. And those thoughts might cause more emotions and more feelings, and they might cause you to do things or want to do things that cause desires and beliefs. And this is a web of the world. This is the phenomenal world. This is the complex. And we're not trying to stop any of that. There's no problem that you have a thought or a judgment or emotion. What we want to see is that there's a web of this experience and we're caught inside of it, but we don't have to be caught inside of it. We can, without altering it at all, watch it first. That's what mindfulness is the practice of. It's the first step. Can you just watch, observe, be clear? What is the web right now? What is it like? Well, how is it all connected? And the second you can see your thoughts, well, hear your thoughts, feel your emotions in the body in this observational way, where you're no longer identified with them. Now you're starting to step out of experience. Now, does the mind get confused? Does it get puzzled? Does it get frustrated when I say things like step out of experience or when you're trying to figure out what this really ultimately means? That's fine. Just notice that. Those are more experiences. That's more of the web of experience. Now you're trying to figure something out. Now you have a judgment of your own knowledge or of the way I'm explaining it. Whatever it is, it just adds more to the web. That's okay. You just want to notice. So you just keep observing. What's the next thing that happens? What's the next thing that unfolds in my whole environment? Remember, I used the word environment and I said everything is in it. Your environment is everything you can see, hear, or feel. But it's not just outside of your body. It's everything you can see, hear, and feel. And that includes thoughts about your environment. That includes my guided meditation. Now, only for those who are feeling kind of comfortable in this experience, they're starting to get a sense of being able to take sort of the globe of your experience, the unbounded shape of your experience, and sit back a little bit, take it in. If you want to make that even a little harder, you can sort of half open your eyes and just look down and take in the globe of your visual experience. And so this is very powerful because our minds are very visual oriented towards the visual sense. So it usually gets overwhelmed by the reality of this experience. So can you do it again? Can you be like, okay, now there is this environment, this visual environment, and the mind will want to, really the eyes will be the start of it. The eyes will want to track things, um, scan things, make sure the environment's safe, then start figuring things out, naming things. The eyes will do it and the mind will follow. And so we hold the eyes still. You might even defocus the eyes. That's probably the best way to do this. If that doesn't make sense to you, sort of just focus on a spot like 10 inches in front of your face, especially if there's nothing there. And let in the peripheral vision. And again, we're just accepting our environment. This is this is the environment of our human experience of our being. We get to be in this environment. It really doesn't matter what's happened in the past. We've sort of been, imagine yourself just been transported down like you're entering a video game or something, and you're now in this environment. This is your environment. But you don't have a job. You don't have to figure anything out. In fact, your only job is to remember that you are not your environment. And so we're not doing normal mindfulness with this, where we like check each thing out and like observe it very closely. We're taking the whole thing in. It's our whole environment. So this is in the visual sense, it's the whole visual field. And then I want you to add, these are very advanced instructions. So don't, and just in terms of skill, it's just technically difficult. So don't beat yourself up or even try too hard. Just see what happens. You just add into this visual field your own model of your body. Now, you don't have to actually look at your body to know that you can sort of see your body in your mind's eye. You just notice your body is in this visual field. It's in your visual model of the world. Your body is there. And even the room behind you, the room beyond your peripheral vision, is in your visual model of the world. It's actually deeper than what we call imagination. It's a more fundamental part of the brain that just constantly generates a model of the world. And so there's a peacefulness here you might be able to attain of just finding your body in this world. And it's really no different than the chairs or the paintings or the computer, or it's just another object in the environment. Your body is another object in the environment. You do this for a while, and a lot of people will start to just feel themselves almost like they're observing their body from sort of up behind their head, or it's not something you need to try to do. And it's not magic or anything. It's just a way the mind figures out what perspective it takes to sort of really see everything that it's seeing. Because it really does see the body, even though the body is maybe not in the visual, the eyes can't see the body. The mind does see the body. And like you can see the back of your head, you can see your back, see the bottoms of your feet, even. That's a little more confusing, but definitely part of it. But now, if you can see your body sitting in the environment, then we've already been inside the body. So everything we saw inside the body is also sitting in this environment, right? So all your emotions and all your thoughts are sitting inside this environment, and they're smaller than the environment. Your mind's perspective, your mind's opinions, your mind's judgment, your mind's focusing, your attention, all of that is inside this body and inside this body, which is inside this environment. For those of you who've worked for a while on this, you might also go, well, wait a second, where is my self-concept? Can I notice the mind's idea of the self? And that's in here too. And that's in the head. And that's in the body. And that's in this environment. So the very idea of yourself is also part of the environment. So where are we? So you can just keep, there's a sort of dropping it activity. The mind will want to keep picking things up, including things inside the mind. And you don't have to get rid of those things. You just don't hold on to them. You just let go. You just let go. Just let go. And then you see if you can't keep going back to the, you know what? I want to take in the whole environment. I'm just going to let the whole environment be here. And remember, the environment is the world experience you come into as an awareness. And that includes your body. And now you can stay with your eyes open or you can close your eyes, either way. With your eyes open, you again might really get this feeling of starting to move into the unbounded space because if you're able to take in the whole environment without going inside the environment, then you're bigger than your whole environment. And like I said, that often starts with feeling like you're moving out at the back of your head, maybe up above, but you also might start losing even a sense of your center in a good way. Like you're grounded, but you're big, unbounded, bigger than anything in the environment. You're bigger than the environment, any environment. And the whole universe is your environment. So you're very, very big. If you do it with your eyes closed, you might have a similar experience, or you might start to let go of the world, let go of the environment to the point where you start to enter the formless. You're welcome to try that if you want as well. Again, it's not something to do, but what happens if you're ultimately just disenchanted with all the contents in the environment? You know they are no longer things that you need to obsess over. And for the human part of you that might get a little scared or worried here, don't worry, everything is still there. You're not getting rid of it. But there is, if you rest in this disenchantment for long enough, especially with eyes closed, you'll drift further and further into a formless space where you're letting go of forms, letting go of shapes, letting go of ideas, letting go of concepts, letting go of even sensations, dropping even further, letting go of even vibrations. And so it's just contraction and expansion, flow up and down. And you're still unbounded, but now there's no size. It's just this, you're a sizeless space of possibility. You've let go of all the concrete, and now it's just possibility. And again, we go back in and back. We're just sort of opening doorways of possible ways that you can start to explore your being as a person. And so it doesn't matter if you're experiencing what I'm describing. We're opening that as a place that is available to you. And even if you're getting sucked back into thoughts or trying or frustrations or that's all fine. You just notice, can you notice the directional change? Oh, I am more sucked in, I am less sucked in. I am more overcome by my thoughts, I'm less overcome. I'm more attached to these objects, I'm less attached to these objects. And just as long as you can start to notice the difference, oh yeah, it's a little more peaceful in this direction, then you'll slowly train your system to find its way towards peace. It doesn't matter what it feels like today. It doesn't really matter what it feels like ever, other than just being able to observe. And there is a pathway. If you follow this sort of slide of peace, you just slide down the piece and you let it go finally. You don't hold on to the edges of the slide. You don't try to crawl back up. You just let it slide and you slide all the way down into the void. And that's a very good word, even though it has a kind of dark connotation in English. Into the emptiness of probability and possibility. And eventually you can have an actual blinking off of the entirety of the environment. And when it comes back on, it's just fresh, like a recharge of your whole. It's like the famous IT department instruction, just turn it off and turn it on again, and fix everything. So this journey can happen in a split second, but usually what it takes is getting comfortable in more and more refined layers of the environment. So at first we live in the narrative environment, the parts of the story. We're in the Lord of the Rings, we're in the drama, and we need to get comfortable just one layer beyond that, just watching all the drama, but now being in the movie theater watching the drama rather than being in the drama. Right? And there's layers and layers of environment that we have to get comfortable letting go of. So we're sort of letting go of the whole conceptual operation, and we can drop into the very fabric of the universe. And the fabric of the universe is non-conceptual. It has no, it's not a thinking thing. It's before thought. Okay, we're going to start coming back in to our bodies in a couple minutes here, but there's one last thing that occurs to me to say today. I want you to start coming back into your body, but I want you to think of all the things you like about yourself. Some of us, this is harder than others, and that's okay. And if like is too strong a word, or if you can go love, that's great. Love about yourself. But if like or love are too strong, just things that you agree are positive things about you, skills you have, ways of being, your heart, your kindness, whatever it is. I want you to start adding these into your environment, right? This is part of your experience. I'm a hard worker. I care about people. I'm, you know, talented at something. Even memories. I did that one thing. I made that one thing. My relationships that seem like a positive. We just sort of bring this all in to our environment. But you see, right now, if we're doing this from this space of really realizing we are not our environment, we're now able to just populate our environment almost willfully with these positive things. And let's just add on to that some positive intentions. You can use traditional phrases like, may I be happy. You could say, I intend for myself to be happy. Or may I be at peace. Or may I live with ease. May I be filled with love and kindness. And these are just thoughts. And they're just part of your environment. This is a different way of doing this work. So instead of feeling like you're the one who has to do this loving or do the ease or make it happen, it's really an intention. That is, you're dropping it into your environment, the direction of the environment. Saying, I'm directing my environment to move towards loving kindness, directing my environment to move towards ease, but not directing in the sense of like someone riding a horse, or it's just literally, it's like a nudge, and the whole environment, like a hot air balloon, sort of moves in that direction. Because we still realize we're not our environment. These thoughts are not our environment. These thoughts are not us. These good qualities of us are not even us. But it's totally okay to go play in the environment. In fact, it's delightful. But when we see that we are so much bigger and so much and so free of our environment that we don't need to stay in any environment, and we do not need to be, let me say, attached to any environment or stuck, have a feeling of stuck in any environment. Then we can come back to the environment and we can bring what we want to it. This is sort of the flip side of, you've heard me say many times, our attention creates our experience. But really what that is our attention creates our environment. So when we learn to control our attention, we can do a better job of, well, seeing what our environment really is, but also having a more positive experience. But this is the opposite of that. We're letting go of intention, going all the way out of the world. And now we come back in and we are reborn, but we get to choose the world we're reborn into. And so after you've done some of these loving kindness phrases, or after you've done some of these things that you like about yourself, I want you to remember, recall. In fact, mindfulness is sometimes thought of as recollection. To recollect that you are not any of these things. So you can still be bigger than this environment, but now you've sort of put some positive chess pieces into the game. And let's go see how that plays out. And so if your eyes are closed, you can open them. If they're open, you can let them focus. You can start to looking around the room as you want. You can let your body start to move how it wants. You're coming into an environment, but you don't have to be attached to it. You don't have to be identified with any piece of it. You are free of this environment at the same time that you get to play. It is literally, the most elaborate film or video game in the world, in the universe, and you can just um, remember that there is a pause button and there is no goal. And just check in. How does it feel? How Doesn't matter how far you went today. What you did was start to explore a different direction. It's almost like we live in three dimensions. We just kept poking in the fourth dimension today, even though you didn't maybe know it was even there. People on my Zoom call, I know you probably all do sort of know it's there, but so that just means maybe you've gone a little further that direction. And it's just open. Just notice, how does that make my body feel? What happened? And if today you just stayed totally in the mind, that's okay because it was sort of going, yes, but maybe I don't have to do this. Yes, but maybe I don't have to do this. That's now a thought in that mind. It's now a thought in your environment that may someday find its way to a little more spaciousness.